All right. Technical difficulties, but we're good now. I don't like the lighting in here. Should have put my fancy mic on. I don't want to be too snazzy for the midweek Torah study. We'll keep it nice and rustic. And all right, so this week's Torah portion is Vayakhel Exodus 35, verse 1, all the way up to 38 and 20. That's the entire portion. We're going to be looking at, we're going to go from Exodus 35, verse 1 to 36 and 19. But we're not going to go past 36 and 19. All right, so we'll look at a few things where we left off in the Torah portion. We talked about last week when the golden calf thing happened. The Moshe went before the Most High and pleaded for the people to be forgiven by the Most High, which they were. And he also pleaded with the Most High that the Most High would, in fact, lead Israel through the wilderness. And in order to prove, I guess you should say, to Moses that the Most High was going to do it, he said, if we are such good friends, let me see your glory. And so we went through all of that. And then now, after all of that, now Moses now could get back to what he had planned. Moses before had got, I want to go back because it's important to see where we were, because it's relevant to where we are going. If we go back, here, let me pull it up. I want to go back to Exodus 31. Let me get my scriptures up here. Exodus 31. And we want to go all the way up to okay, so if we go all the way to 31 and 12, we have our textbooks here ready. Hold on a second here, let me find my mouse.
Verse what?
32 and 12. Oh, hold on a second.
30.
Oh, 31 and 12. My friend. 31 and 12. Let me just get just the Bible. This is our JPS, which is the same as our textbook. And read, this is where we are. So Moses, he gets the commandments. He gets all of the things. He's coming down. Moses told him about the golden calf thing. And then he comes down and look at what he brings up here in 12. Start reading at verse 12.
It says, and Yahweh spoke unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily ye shall keep my Sabbaths, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh who sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that profaneth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 15.
You don't got to read. Oh, you know what? Read 16
16. It
and
says,
17.
okay, it says, wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
Perpetual covenant.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he ceased from work and rested.
Okay, so the Most High says this to Moses. He gets the tablets that he wrote with his fingers. His finger, his one finger. And then they have the whole situation, right? They had the whole situation. And then if we go to where we're at, interestingly enough, if we go over to where we're at, oh my goodness, 35, verse 1. Read for us 1, 2, 3.
It says, and Moses assembled all the congregation of the children of Israel, and said unto them, these are the words which Yahweh had commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of solemn rest to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death. 3. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
Okay, very good. So it's interesting that that Moses now is picking up really where he left off before there was like this interruption of the golden calf situation. The golden calf situation caused a terrible rift. It was a terrible parentheses that happened with people. And so over here, now that getting things back together now, back to the tabernacle, back to being able to actually tell the people all of the things that the Most High said about the tabernacle so they could actually make it, right? And so it's interesting that, we just had this commandment before all of the commotion, right? And then you had all the commotion, and we come back, and then we're back to this again. I think one thing that helps us to understand is the importance of what Shabbat is, right? It's a fourth commandment. It's one of 10 of the 10 commandments, right? There's hundreds of commandments, right? Some people think that there's 613 of them, right? There's a lot of them. There's a lot of commandments, right? And so, but this one, some by the way, commandments you only get one time. Right? Sometimes in the scriptures you'll get a commandment and then you only see it once. Right? But the Shabbat command is repeated several times. In this case, it's just within a few chapters of each other. Right? And so it's interesting if we look back at chapter 31 where it said that the Shabbat is, he said that it's a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Right? It's a sign, it's a perpetual covenant. And so for those that say that they are the children of the true and living Elohim, you would think, it's just what I think. I think that that person who says that they are a child of the true and living Elohim, I would think that they would have this set apart day, this sign of the covenant with the people. I would think that this is kind of an important kind of a thing. And I wouldn't dare think of defiling this day, this time. And it seems, as we look at this, as Moses begins to speak to the people, I just thought it was interesting that, this is brought back up again. One reason why it was brought back up again. There are others, which I guess we'll get ready to talk about right now. Oh, but first, before we do that, while the people that are here think about that, we can talk about Vayakhel, and he gathered, and he assembled. Here, Moses is he, and this word here, assembled, that's translated as assembled. The King James says gathered. That word is kahal. Kahal. Kahal is to convoke. To convoke or to assemble. I know what to convocate is. Let me see this real quick. I'm just looking at some things here. I know what it is to convocate. What is it to convoke? Let's put this up here. Where's my little, oh, here we go, right here.
Convoke.
Oh, here we go. See, that's what I thought, see. We're having a convocation.
Yeah.
We're coming together.
Yeah.
Right? But if I'm convoking, I'm calling you to come together. Right? Convoke. Right? So there's two things that are here. Like this says Moses gathered. And we think about the idea of coming together. Even the word, if we look at it, is to assemble, right? Or to assemble cells together, right? But to convoke or to kahal is to it's gathering with your words, like, come on, come here, right? He's not literally going and grabbing people and putting, like if I was to gather some books together, I would be like grabbing them and holding them and physically moving them, right? But Moses is calling out to the people. He's pronouncing he's giving the instructions for the people to actually come together. Okay? And so he's having them come together and he's speaking these words to them. It's interesting when you look at this word here, because although it has the idea of a gathering, I think it's also the thing that's also incorporated into it is the idea of creating or pronouncing or instigating the gathering with words. And so it made me think about the idea of a convocation, a holy convocation that we have on Shabbat, this gathering where there is a kind of this coming together to assemble and gather together for a holy, set apart situation that involves words either towards the Most High or words towards people in regards to the Most High. And so it's interesting when we look at over here, Moses, as he's assembling these people here, he's assembling them on behalf of the Almighty so that he's able to begin to talk to these people about these things. And again, the thing that he brings up is the Shabbat. And so I said that he was picking up where he left off at, but also I think the other thing to think about is the fact that because of the placement of this, not just the fact that he was saying it before and then something happened and then it was just like, how you are if you're saying something and then you get interrupted and then you'd be like, oh, where was I? Oh yeah, it was this. But here, I think that when we look at where this is in the instructions, I think that it's putting it here on purpose so that the people were able to understand, yes, you're building this tabernacle. Yes, I want you to do this thing, and it's a place that I'm going to dwell whenever I come and dwell with you. But you cannot not do the Shabbat so that you can build the tabernacle. I think that this command here that's given, reminding us of Shabbat when Moses was just reminded of it, and we, as we're looking at Torah, are just reminded of it because we just seen it. But I'm saying that the placement of this command right next to the command that's getting ready to deal with the building, the actual building of the tabernacle, is reminding the people, we're going to build this tabernacle, but don't be building it on Shabbat. 6 days you can go and you can build the tabernacle, but on the seventh day you'll rest. Okay? All right, so let's also look over here at verse 3. Verse 3. Read verse 3 again for us there.
It says, ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
Okay, you shall kindle no fire. You shall kindle no fire. So when we think about kindling fire, when I think about kindling fire, for me, it's starting a fire. Right? It's me going to get some wood and stacking it in the new stacking style that I just found. That stacking style, boy. I remember I used to do the teepees. I used to get the firewood and build the little teepees. But that way is
Primitive.
that way is out. What's in now is that stacking move, that crisscross stacking thing. The Jenga style. The Jenga style, boy. Hey, look, if you are making fires, you better get down with that Jenga style. But to me, kindling a fire is getting that wood, stacking that wood. Get your kindling wood. You're kindling wood. You put that there, and then you start doing the things. You start rubbing the little stuff together. You gotta be pushing down on the stick, like you're starting the fire. Jenga for the win. That's right, because he know about, Elder Yawanthon know about that crisscross style. That thing was it. That was the move. But when you kindling that fire, that's some serious work, right? You're putting work in order to get that fire going. Right? And so it's interesting when we look at this, just to look at what it says here. We're going to look at the word, but just when you just look at the sentence, thou shalt kindle no fire. I mean, why wouldn't it be like, you shall have no fire? Throughout your habitations on the Shabbat. Right? It says, lo ba'ar. Lo ba'ar. Lo ba'ar. And that word there, which is translated as kindle, has various meanings, right? So it says literally to kindle. So it's to kindle, right? And then it says that is consumed by or by eating to become brutish. Here, let's look at this. Let's look at this word here. See, so that word says to kindle, and then when I look over here, it says to set on fire, to cause to burn with flame, to light as to kindle a fire, right? As if you're thinking about the idea of beginning it, right? You're starting it, you're getting the thing started. And again, if you're thinking about it in the context of these times, nobody was just taking like a lighter and like doing this, and then that's a fire. Nobody didn't have no lighter fluid like how I be putting on the wood. How I just be putting on the wood, put the fire on the wood. I mean the lighter fluid on the wood, and just be like, and then that's a fire, right? Back here, this thing is it's a whole task. Right, it's a whole ordeal that goes on with kindling, with setting this thing on fire, right? So if you look over here, hold on, where's my word? Oh, here we go. So here, let's look at this over here. Put the word study, because this word study kind of breaks it up, I think. Yeah. And so, because it has the idea of to consume, right? Let's look at some of these. So, wow, that does. The verb indicates the process of combustion, right? Which is just a fire that's burning. But I don't know if it can actually mean, like, I don't know if this word means I don't know if this word just means just a fire burning up, like just burning in general, right? I think that it means starting it, right? But this word could mean to burn, right? It could mean like the beginning process of it. The word is used over here in the burning bush. Is used for the Most High's anger in some verses, right? It describes wickedness, right? And then I think it also tells us, if we look at what's this? The second one here. Hold on. Remove, being consumed. Oh, where was that at? Where he actually brought me back to this chapter right here. I don't know where that's at in my notes. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. In some contexts, it means to cause a fire or consume something, such as a field of olives. What verse is this here?
Exodus 22:6. It says, if fire break out and catch in thorns, so that the shocks of corn or the standing of corn or the field are consumed, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution.
You see there. So this is not just talking about the fire necessarily. It's talking about the one who kindled it.
Started it.
Right? If I kindled the fire and then it breaks out and it ends up burning up somebody's stuff, then I'm the one that's liable for it. Right? And so here the word kindled, here, let's look at this and make sure it's the same word. Kindled 1197. Okay, it's the same word. What's this guy talking about? Oh yeah, that don't got nothing to do with what we talking about over. You could send us an email if you really want to know something. Time out. Okay, very good. All right, so what then do we say that's talking about? Over here is an example of kindled being starting the fire. It don't seem like in verse 3 of chapter 35 it's just the idea of the fire being in existence.
No, because obviously the menorah was to be kept burning
Well, I'm not sure.
24/7.
That's true, but I'm not sure if the stuff in the tabernacle go by the same rules. And I'm only saying that because the priest, he had to do things. And that's his work. That was his work. The priest, that was his work. And so he never stopped doing that. And so the things that needed to be done within the tabernacle by the priest, that kept on working. And it's interesting when you think about that, because here I'm saying that this in proximity to the instructions to the people to build the tabernacle is telling the people that they can't build the tabernacle on the Shabbat. But the priest worked on Shabbat. He didn't ever stop. But you can also think about the Most High, who is the creator and sustainer of all things. And, it's talked about the fact that the Most High is actively sustaining everything. He's actively holding things in place, right? He's actively keeping things together. And right, and so he don't stop doing that. And so the priest who emulates the Most High for the people does that. So that being said, fire burning on the menorah doesn't necessarily mean that you can have fire burning all the time, necessarily. I'm saying just based on that. But I'm saying that when we look at this verse over here, it really could have just said fire, no fire. But it said no kindled fire. Which I think we have to then try to seek to understand what it is to kindle. And we did just see this one example of this word used. Because again, it could be used other ways. How's it used in Exodus 3, 2, and 3?
That was burning bush.
Oh, you're just saying that's this.
Yes, burning.
But I think that word is there though. That's what I'm saying.
3 and
3, 2, and 3.
verse 2.
Yeah. Verse 2.
It says, and the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed.
The bush burned with fire. The bush burned with fire is Ba'ar, which is the word. And so here it's used in a way where the fire, the bush it just kept on, I guess. It was in the process. It was in the process of burning.
Yeah. With no natural consequence.
Right, it didn't burn up. It wasn't consumed. So I don't know if we can look at that, but it's not. I don't want to say it's not a real fire. I'm sure it was a real fire.
It wasn't a consuming fire.
But it wasn't burning. It wasn't using up the wood as fuel for the fire.
Yeah.
But it's interesting when we look over here, because you think about what they had to do with the gold. Again, you think about what they had to do with the gold, and there was a lot of gold. There was things that they had to make and form with fire. So again, we sometimes look at this, and I don't think it's wrong to look at it in this way, but we sometimes look at this as blanket. But is it? I don't know. Maybe one of these 6-in-1 people might have some thoughts.
Yeah. I think that the idea of having fire is in our sense, it's not the same as if we was at Sukkot and he was trying to start a fire and keep that fire going. And if we're out there in the wilderness and you built the fire before, the Sabbath, and you're just now putting wood in there, fueling it to keep it going, that's something that is going to keep us warm, keep us light.
Yeah.
I know people who, they won't even, there was an argument, someone had a sandwich and they put it in the windshield of their car to let the sun hit the sandwich and warm it up. And there was a big argument and falling out over that because, is that even like kindling a fire, like keeping warm? It's kind of like you're straining at something, but you're missing the point of the fact that if you have to do all of this kindling on the Sabbath, then now you're not focused. Your focus is on worldly, physical, earthly things, and it's not on the Most High.
Yeah. And so, and so I think in some ways it is kind of blanket, but I think that it's also kind of specific to where it's at also. I think it's both. I would say that it's both. I think that the idea is that it's a rest and you shouldn't be working. Right? And in order to, like, if you think about the big job that was about to go on over here, they was going to have to get fires going all over the place, right? Have them be going, get that, but they doing this big construction job. They got to get that temporary lighting going, right? They got to get the temporary lights going. They got to get the fire hot for the cooking the metals and all of the things. They got to get all of those things going. And so there would have been really a lot that went into getting ready for this tabernacle. And I think the main point here is that the Shabbat is higher than this tabernacle that was being built. But I would say that I think that the idea of starting a fire, though, in general, for us, I just think that for us, it's not what that is here.
Yeah.
Like for us, starting a fire isn't
laborious.
I mean, it can be.
You do it old fashioned.
It can be. Most definitely can be. But at the same time, it cannot be also. But I think that the idea is work. You shouldn't be doing these laborious, hard things, right? Do your preparations. I just saw this thing that's pretty cool. It was like a V-shaped thing with like logs like stacked up, and the fire was in the middle. And then so as the wood at the bottom got burnt, then the new logs would just drop down in. And this was all made with like just wood and sticks and stuff. It was like a V-shaped thing, and it was like piles of wood. And so you could just have your wood there waiting, and then as it burns up, it feeds itself.
So, like an animal feeder, self-feeding animal feeder.
Yeah, but this is a self-feeding fire feeder. I think just the idea is just giving you more specifics about work. And that Shabbat is made really for chill, not work. Chill, not work. Okay? All right, let's go down a little bit. two things I wanted to look at. Let's go over to, well, let's talk about this first. Let's look at, let's drop down to 4. Read 4 down through, 10.
4 through 10. It says, and Moses spoke unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, this is the thing which Yahweh commanded, saying, take ye from among ye an offering unto Yahweh. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it. Yahweh's offering, gold and silver and brass, and blue and purple and scarlet, and fine linen and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and seal skins and acacia wood, and oil for the light, and spices for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense, and onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod, and for the breastplate. And let every wise-hearted man among you come and make all that Yahweh hath commanded.
Okay, very good. So, over here now, Moses is asking. So before we seen all of these, we've seen this already. But what we saw was the Most High saying it to Moses. The Most High said it to Moses, and then Moses was going to come down and say it to the people. And so now when it happens, right, Moses here is saying to the people, all the people who are willing-hearted, whosoever will, come and bring all of the ingredients. I want to just look at something real quick. So he said in verse 10, let every wise-hearted man. Oh, they just threw that in there, huh? Wise-hearted among you. It don't say man, do it? Interesting.
Let me see what verse is that.
10, verse 10. Labe. So it's just wise-hearted, huh? Chacham. Labe. That's interesting. Huh? It's just wise-hearted. It's not, the man's not there. Okay, the only reason why I'm saying it's interesting, because if we go down, let's go down. Because again, Moses is having the people bring the things. They need to bring the things, and you need to start the things, right? You get all of the instructions, come down, make the things. But let's drop down to verse 20. I'm going to look at a couple of things before we...
20.
Yeah, start reading at verse 20.
It says, and all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, every one whose heart stirred him up, and every one whom his spirit made willing, and brought Yahweh's offering for the work of the tent of meeting, and for all the service thereof, and for the holy garments. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought nose rings and earrings and signet rings and girdles, all jewels of gold, even every man that brought an offering of gold unto Yahweh. And every man with whom was found blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skin dyed red, and seal skin brought them. Every one that did set apart an offering of silver and brass brought Yahweh's offering. And every man with whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought. And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and brought that which they had spun, the blue and the purple, and the scarlet and the fine linen. And all the women whose hearts stirred them up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the rulers brought the onyx stones and the stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate. And spice and the oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a free will offering unto Yahweh, every man and woman whose heart made them willing to bring forth all the work which Yahweh had commanded by the hand of Moses to be made.
Okay, very good. So we see over here that everybody was included. It wasn't just the men that was coming down. Right? It wasn't just right, it was everyone. It was the men and the women was doing it. So I was saying that was interesting before, because when you look, it's just saying all the wise-hearted. All who was wise-hearted act. Right? Not just every man that's wise-hearted act, but every man and woman. If you got something that the Most High wants, that was part of these ingredients, right? They had this. They had the metal and they had the wood. You had to sit up there and cut and make and push and burn and all of these things. But they had some crafty yarn spinning things that had to happen too. And the peoples that was experts at things, they did the things that they was experts at. Right? And brought those things to the situation. Right? If you was an expert at mixing some spices together and causing some oils to be fragrant, right? You was bringing them. Right? And then it talks about over here these goat hair spinners. The rabbis, when they talk about this verse, it's funny because they sit up there and say that the women was like jumping up on the goats and riding the goats and spinning their and spinning their hair like on the goat. Just the way they talk about it just cracks me up. It's funny. No, I don't know where they got that from. It's very funny. All right, so one other thing I wanted to look at real quick. I want to go over here to this. Let me see this verse. This guy said something weird about this. I just want to look at this real quick. Nobody don't have nothing to say about this. Huh? Bracelets, earrings, rings, tablets. See, this says nose rings, earrings, signet rings. Nose rings. Where you see that at? Oh, earrings. Uncertain nose ring. Earrings, rings. Moses bracelets. Oh, this one's nose or lip. Okay, I just was looking at something. All right, let's go down to, real quick, let's go over to, 35. 30.
30. Oh, verse 30.
Yeah, verse 30.
It says, And Moses said unto the children of Israel, See, Yahweh hath called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he hath filled him with the spirit of Elohim, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship. 32, and to devise skillful works, to work in gold and in silver and in brass, and in cutting of stones for setting, and in carving of wood, to work in all manner of skillful workmanship. And he hath put in his heart that he may teach, both he and Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. Them hath he filled with wisdom of heart, to work all manner of workmanship, of the craftsman, and of the skillful workman, and of the weaver in colors, in blue and in purple, and scarlet, and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of them that do any workmanship, and of those that devise skillful works.
Okay, very good. So, we get over here again. This is Moses, Moshe talking to the children of Israel, where it says Yahweh had called by name Bezalel. And it's interesting that, so we see that we heard of this guy before, this Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur. Oh, did you ever look at that?
No, I thought you was looking it up yesterday.
No, I was looking at something else.
I thought that's what you was looking at.
No, I was looking at something else. But we see over here this guy who is this son, this grandson of Hur, who disappears. We don't hear about him anymore. It says that he is filled with the spirit of Elohim in wisdom and understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship. And so it talks about the fact that the Most High really imbues this guy with wisdom and understanding and knowledge, and helps him to be able to lead out this task of building the tabernacle. And so it's interesting that we see that it says in verse 34 that he put in his heart, Natan, in his heart, that he may teach, that he may Yarah, that he may teach both he and, so, wait a second. He put in his heart that he may both he teach both he and Aholiab? Wait a second. He's going to teach his own self? He hath put in his heart that he may teach both he and Aholiab. I guess he's going to teach himself then, right? That's who's the he here? The he in the context here is Bezalel. So the
Or
spirit.
or is it the spirit teaching?
He said he's going to fill him with the spirit of Elohim and wisdom and understanding and the knowledge and the manner of workmanship, and to devise skillful works, to work with the gold and the brass and the silver and the cutting and the workmanship. And he hath put in his heart that he may teach both he and Aholiab. So he put it in Bezalel's heart to teach the other people and his own self, I guess. Right?
Well, I feel like he didn't really, he needed to have that spirit put in him to be able to even use.
I mean, first of all, he's making these things that are patterned off of the things that are in the heavenlies, right? And so even if he has a type of, I think that even if he said, well, first of all,
Or, I mean, I think they could.
first of all, these people just got finished making bricks their whole life. And so, yeah, he might have had some type of previous knowledge and maybe a propensity to be able to do certain things. But was he in there? Was they in Egypt building things with gold and silver and brass? It seemed like what?
Seemed like they was just.
They was messing. They was in sand. Ari said they was messing with sand. They was building bricks.
Sandstone.
They was just making some pyramids.
They were just making treasure places.
It seemed like the people that was doing all the stuff with the treasuring would be like the Egyptians.
Yeah. Why would they let the slaves sit up there and be touching all this
All their gods.
all this special stuff they had? I mean, maybe they was. But this verse here is interesting. I didn't even pay attention to this. The fact that it says, and he hath put in his heart that he may teach both he and Aholiab. So if we think that the way that, let me see what they got in here. So if you look at the King James Version, it says he put in his heart, but it don't capitalize it, but he is the Most High, because we're talking about the thing being put in his heart. So the first he got to be like how the JPS did it and gives it a capital he, right? Hath put in his heart is in Bezalel's heart, that he, Bezalel, may teach both he,
himself.
which is who, and Aholiab.
Yeah. So I would think like if like would you say that when you're working and you're doing an electrical job and you're working with an apprentice, it's just something totally new, like you've never really done it but you can figure it out.
Yeah.
You might be teaching yourself kind of at the same time.
I mean, my work that I do involves problem solving.
Yeah.
It definitely involves problem solving. A lot of times the boss will say, I need I need to go from this box to that one. And such size pipe. And then that's it. And so there's all kind of obstacles and things in the way, and I gotta sit up there and figure out how to do it. And so in that way, you know, you have these situations where you're doing those type of things, but maybe when, you know, there's also times, and I think which involves like what Bezalel encountered, where he's literally doing these things that I'm not sure how he could possibly have had any experience in doing all of the things, and he's teaching the other people. So he basically got to know how to do all of the things because he's teaching all of the other people how to do it. Now the rabbis, when they talk about this guy, they say, well, you know, he just was a genius and he just was good at everything. He was a genius and he was able to just, you know, quickly, you know, one thing about genius is that you're really able to pick up things quickly, right? And so maybe he didn't ever do it before, but when the spirit of wisdom came into his heart and showed him the ways, then he was able to be taught the ways and then in fact teach those ways to the people. And so it seems to me that that's kind of what is going on here based on verse 34, with this whole idea of both he and Aholiab being taught. And all of the people then also kind of being filled with the wisdom of heart to do the work that was necessary here. All right, so I think.
So they were his helpers.
What?
They were his helpers, so he was telling them what to do.
Yeah, I mean it was all the people, right? It was his main guy, Aholiab. That was like his main, that was like his sub foreman, Aholiab, and then all of the other people, right? Because it took it took more than two people to do this, right?
Right.
But it was all the people. And he had the different ones. He had all the ladies, like all of the weavers, right? And the craftsmen and the skillful workmen, all of the people, right? So it was all the people. It was his number two guy and all the helpers and everybody else. All right? Oh, okay, so we've got a couple more minutes. One last thing, let's go over to the next chapter, 36. And let's read 1 through 7.
It says, and Bezalel and Aholiab shall work, and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahweh hath put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Yahweh had commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whose heart Yahweh had put wisdom. even every one whose heart stirred up to come unto the work to do it. And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, wherewith to make it. And they brought yet unto him a freewill offerings every morning. And all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they wrought. And they spoke unto Moses, saying, the people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Yahweh commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the cities, throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much.
Okay, very good. So we see over here the people from the abundance of their heart brought and gave for the building of the tabernacle, and they had more than enough. The people brought too much. They gave too much. Moses had to stop the people. They brought so much. I was listening to one of these guys talk about this the other day. He was saying that if Moses, he said this, of all of the things that Moses ever did, this probably was the worst thing that he ever did, was to tell the people to stop giving. Because if he never would have said this, people, that's what the guy was saying, people will always give too much.
That's all.
But since Moses said up there had the people stop giving, now you gotta just squeeze to get.
You gotta squeeze.
You can never get enough. But it's interesting when you look at this here that, again, it talks about all of these people being filled with the Spirit in order to both bring and, here's just the bringing, right? It says he put wisdom in everyone's heart who stirred them up to come up unto the work to do it. Those people was filled and they received of Moses all the things, and they brought him, the free will offerings every morning. They kept on doing it. And all the wise who wrought all the work, so it's just about the people who was doing the work. But they had from all of the things, that was the other thing. You think about the fact that these people who they had that skill that they had, whatever it was, it was such a terrible thing when we remember from when Israel was still in slavery, and Pharaoh took away the part of one of the ingredients for the making the bricks, and that was the worst thing he could have did to the people at the time. And so again, you think about the skill set that these people have, that they had at that time, and what their life was about. It was about work and toil. But when they left Egypt and they took all that they took from when they borrowed from the Egyptians on their way out the door, they had so much stuff that they was able to take from the Egyptians that they had way more than enough things to build this elaborate tabernacle. Imagine the gold. Everything was gold that was on everything, on the staffs, on the ark, on the rings, on the table, on the incense altar. There was gold all over the place, brass, all of these things, these various woods. Was that wood a local wood that they had there where they was at in the wilderness? Because he does ask for a specific kind of wood, right? Was that just a wood that they got, or did they bring that wood with them? All of these things that they had, they got from Egypt. And so the Most High provided for the people in the leaving, the pillaging of Egypt as they left, so that when it came time to actually make the tabernacle, they had everything that they needed in order to do it. And then the people wasn't trying to hold on to it.
No.
Oh, here we go. All right. We got kicked off, but we was basically at the end anyway. We reached our time. Did you have one last thing to say?
All I was saying was that when we had the big feast, we would literally spend thousands of dollars. And we always came out and agreed because people who came to the feast gave.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that whenever you have something like this, usually people, it only works if people are willing to give.
Yeah, that the only way that the tabernacle was able to even get built was by the people having in their hearts to do the will of the Most High and provide all the things that was needed for the situation. I think that's a good example. All right, so that being said, my phone ran out of Wi-Fi right in time because it's about time for us to be done anyway. So we'll talk more about the rest of this Torah portion on Shabbat, y'all willing. And for now, we'll go ahead and be done with this, and y'all willing, we'll be able to be back in a couple days.